Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski, and the PokeMMO storylines can be significantly more difficult than what you may be used to if you've only played the traditional Pokemon game. So today, I wanted to make a quick video showing you guys 5 Pokemon you can catch in the Kanto region to not only make your Kanto storyline easier, but also progress your PokeMMO account long term. But jumping straight into things, Pokemon number 1 is going to be the most important one, and you are going to need one quick item. You might already have it. You do need the old rod because we will be catching Magikarp. But if you don't know, you can fly over to Vermilion City, walk inside this house directly to the left of the Poke Center, and talk to this guy to get the old rod. Now, once you have the old rod, you could use it pretty much anywhere in the entire game to go ahead and encounter Magikarps, but there is one best place to get them. And that is going to be over in the Kanto Safari Zone over in Fuchsia City. Now, you are going to need 5 or 6 gym badges to get to this point. It's a little bit later in the storylines, but being able to pay 500 Pokeyen to then get 30 Safari Balls and potentially catch anywhere from 20 to 30 Magikarp, whereas on the outside world, that would cost you 200 Pokeyen per catch per Pokeball. It's going to save you so much time and Pokeyen. The time is actually nice as well, because if you fish over here, you actually will get slightly faster encounters because there's less Safari animation than an Outworld animation. Whenever you get a Safari encounter, your character just pops up on the screen. You can see right here, actually, really quick. 1, 2, 3, boom, just pops up. Whereas on the outside world, you'll have to wait for your character to throw their Pokeball and wait for a little bit of a Pokemon animation. But in here, you just go ahead and throw a rock. Sometimes the Magikarp will flee. That is totally okay. I'm a big fan of just rocking and then Safari Balling if you're Magikarp farming. If you do get a shiny, it is important to note that it is better catch odds to just throw Safari Balls. Do not rock if you get a shiny. But while you're farming just a bunch of good Magikarps for future storyline runs or potential Dragon Egg Group breeders, because yes, Magikarp is in the Dragon Egg Group, you can go ahead and just rock and then throw Safari Ball, and you will almost always get a nice catch. Let's go ahead and see here. Now, what you're looking for is any Magikarps with any 31s like this. Perfect first catch. It's about a 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 Pokemon, I believe, to get a 1x31 IV like this. Now, these do not sell the same way they used to, but it's still decent Pokeyen for a beginner. This would sell for about 4,000 Pokeyen, so you would get 3,000 Pokeyen after the listing fee. That's not bad when you're only paying 500 per 30 Magikarps. This is probably the best from scratch Pokeyen money-making method in the game, or one of the best from scratch methods, as well as just a really good way to get some good storyline Pokemon. So this Magikarp, it's naive, it's 31 speed. What you're looking for good storyline Gyarados is 20 plus attack, 20 plus speed, and then adamant, lonely, or naughty nature. Any nature that is plus attack stat, you can always hover over the natures to see. Anything that is plus attack, plus 10% attack, and then 20 plus in, once again, attack and speed. The bulk is nice, but you don't need it for a storyline. You really just want 20 plus attack, 20 plus speed, and then lonely, naughty, or adamant nature. Next up, Pokemon number 2 is actually going to be Oddish, because it can learn Sweet Scent, which will help you get hordes at a little bit later parts of the game, but honestly pretty early still, once you're around 5 to 6 gym badges, and especially once you get to the Elite 4, you want to have access to hordes of Pokemon, which allow you to EV train and XP train much faster. They basically allow you to manually summon a group of 5 Pokemon. Just in case you do not know, this is what a horde looks like when you use Sweet Scent in PokeMMO. It summons a group of 5 Pokemon if you're at a wild spot that can spawn them. Not every spot will give you a group of 5 Pokemon like this. But I always try to pick up an Oddish just north of Viridian City, you know, the second town essentially in Kanto. You go ahead and head up here, and in this spot right here, you can run back and forth, and you have an uncommon chance to run into an Oddish. Oddish is going to be a really good utility Pokemon. It's going to have access to that Sweet Scent. It'll also get things like Sleep Powder, Poison Powder. It'll help you status your opposing Pokemon, and you can also turn it into a Blossom if you get a Sunstone early on. Now, Blossom is a weirdly powerful storyline Pokemon. You wouldn't think it looking at the little flower fella, but they actually really are. They end up with some really decent all-around bulk stats, as well as 90 special attack, which is not amazing, but you can get access to Blossom at level 21. That's what makes it so powerful, getting a 3rd stage Pokemon at level 21 when you use the Sunstone. That's the difficult part, is either trading someone for a Sunstone or getting up to 4 gym badges to be able to buy a Sunstone for very cheap. They're very, very inexpensive off of the GTL. Now, the real powerful part of Blossom, which is why I recommend it so much for storylines, is the move Quiver Dance. It will get Quiver Dance at level 39, and this is a move that boosts your special attack, special defense, and your speed. 1 or 2 Quiver Dances, and you are sweeping pretty much any gym in the entire game. It is incredibly, incredibly powerful. usually only reserved to super endgame Pokemon like Volcarona, which you don't even get to evolve Volcarona until level 59 or so. So to get that on a level 21 Pokemon is just crazy. Next up, Pokemon number 3 is going to be a payday pickup Meowth. You can find Meowths over here, just northwest of Cerulean City. You can run back and forth in this patch of grass. And you know what? You can also find Abras here, which was actually my number 4 pick. So we'll kind of combine these. This is going to be number 3 and 4. You can catch both of them at this spot. Now, it is important if you're trying to catch an Abra, it only knows the move Teleport. So you either need to have something like Sleep Powder or Spore to lead the fight to put it to sleep, or you can get a Arena Trap Diglett really quick over at the Diglett Cave, and I'll show you how to quickly do that. But I recommend trying to put them to sleep if possible, and then going ahead and usually throwing a Pokeball or a Great Ball in the early game. You should be able to buy Great Balls at this point, and it should be a decent chance of catch if you can put them to sleep. Obviously, you shouldn't have access to a level 100 Spore Breloom quite yet, but you definitely can get access to a Sleep Powder Pokemon, and we'll cover that at slot number 5, okay? It all comes together, don't get me wrong. But number 4 slot is Abra. The reason why you want Abra is as simple as this. You want to teleport Pokemon. Teleport is really good when you're doing a storyline run. Let's say you're super deep onto a route. Let's say you're like over here on this east side, northeast of Cerulean. Let's say you've wandered over to this east side route. You know, you've battled a few of these trainers, but you didn't quite battle all of them, and you're over here, and now you're super low HP, and you can't get back without passing through some of these trainers that maybe you didn't fight or something like that. Well, now, or you want to just save some time, you can just go ahead and click Teleport, and Teleport will take you back to the last PC you visited. This saves so much time. It also helps you get out of a ton of binds in the storylines. It's essentially Fly access before Fly. Obviously not quite as good as Fly, but still a really cool option that's really easy to pick up in the storyline. The second thing is we talked about trait evolutions and being able to evolve a Pokemon to a 3rd stage very early on and how powerful that is. You can evolve an Abra into an Alakazam at level 16. This was not like balanced around. Being able to get an Alakazam at level 16 by just simply catching one in the wild is so freaking powerful. And let's talk about how to prevent that Abra from actually teleporting. If you have access to it, you can head over to Vermilion City, head inside here, and you'll find Diglett Cave. I do recommend running in here, catching one Diglett really quick. Specifically, one Diglett with Arena Trap is ideal, or a Dugtrio. There is a Dugtrio, so it's a little bit rarer, but you can get Dugtrios here. They're better if you can catch these. I do recommend committing some Great Balls to these, as it will not be an easy catch. After calculating it off to the side, it seems like Dugtrio asleep with a Great Ball is about a 20% chance to catch. So I do recommend trying to whittle it down with some sort of attack if possible, or worst case scenario, it might take you about 5 or so Great Balls, which is nothing to scoff at Pokeyen wise when you're early into the PokeMMO storyline. So only get one of these if you're really struggling to get an Abra, in my opinion. You should be decently lucky enough to be able to just sleep powder one of these and then go for a Great Ball would be my recommendation. But in case you're worried, or you're worried about seeing a shiny, for example, that's the real fear, is running into a shiny Abra and not having an Arena Trap Dugtrio on the back end. This one didn't even have Arena Trap, so it's nice to avoid having to go for one of these if possible. But if you're someone who is just worried out of your mind that you're going to get a shiny Abra and it's going to teleport away from you and you won't be able to catch it, you can come get an Arena Trap Diglett just in case. Or if you're going to be hunting at that spot for a long period of time, I definitely recommend getting an Arena Trap Pokemon. But Abra was number 4. Let's get back to number 3, which was that payday pickup Meowth. Oh, it looks like you could also find Oddish here. So if you missed Oddish over at that Route 2 spot, you could also just find them passively over here while doing this other grind. If it is also nighttime in-game, or sometimes morning like this, you might have noticed the Oddish is actually asleep when I encounter that. That is actually a really big deal. It makes you able to catch those Pokemon a lot easier during the early elements of PokeMMO. So if you can, it is not a bad idea to go try to specifically farm and catch Pokemon during nighttime and morning time. But that's min-maxing a little bit too much in the early elements of PokeMMO, but it's a cool thing to know. You can also catch my 5th Pokemon recommendation here. So it turns out, I didn't even notice this before recording this video, so excuse me. It turns out you can catch 4 out of 5 of the Pokemon that I recommend you catch in Kanto all over at Route 24. Who would have thought? Wow. I guess all 5 as well if you go ahead and count the just fishing in the water over here, but let's just go ahead and do it out of order. Why not? Fuck it, we ball, we do it live. This is Caterpie slash Butterfree. So the reason this is super good is because you can actually get a Butterfree with sleep powder and compound eyes, and that is going to make the sleep powder about 97.5% accurate. Obviously, you don't have access to a high-level Breloom like this in the early game, but you can get something very close in that Compound Eye Sleep Powder Butterfree. Also, shout out to Bakerd. Let's go ahead and see this catch. We got Modest. Also, this is pretty decent for the storyline. Butterfree is another Pokemon that actually ends up learning Quiver Dance on a lower level Pokemon. It doesn't get into level 22, which is honestly earlier than I expected. So Butterfree, not only an underrated powerful Pokemon for the storylines, it does fall off. I think Butterfree statistically, it's just base stats are very low. It will fall off by the Elite Four or so, or once you get later into the game. But it can be a very, very, very powerful early game Pokemon. And once again, the main benefit here is Compound Eye's ability, which is the only ability it can get in the wild. And then having Sleep Powder access, it will make you have a 97.5% accuracy sleep move in early game Pokemon, which is really powerful. And it's going to help you catch all of these other Pokemon on this list. But let's just go ahead and talk about the final Pokemon, which is going to be a Pickup Payday Meowth. I do severely recommend trying to get a Pickup Meowth over a Technician one. Technician will help you out in your storylines a little bit and let you do a little bit more damage, but Pickup is the real reason why you want to use a Meowth, because it allows you to pick up items randomly during certain fights, mostly obviously wild battles as it says, and this really helps your early game Pokeyen. It helps you get some extra Pokeyen. The full phrase is Payday Pickup Meowth. So you want the Payday move, which is a 40 base power normal type physical move that gives you an amount of Pokeyen equal to that Pokemon's level. So if you kill a level 44 Pokemon, you get 440 Pokeyen. I believe it's times 10. So every time you Payday a wild Pokemon that's level 40, you get 400 Pokeyen. Level 50, you get 500 Pokeyen. So in 2 paydays, you can get 1000 Pokeyen on high level Pokemon towards that endgame element, which is just really, really, honestly, consistent, solid Pokeyen. Payday Pickup Meowth is one of those money-making methods that has gone in and out of the metagames. It's always been a backbone of the PokeMMO economy. You can earn about 120,000 Pokeyen per hour while doing Payday and Pickup at endgame. So getting one of these suckers early on is really good. You do want something that is plus attack nature. We talked about earlier, Adamant, Lonely, or Naughty, and then 20 plus attack. And 20 plus speed is nice, but Meowth is honestly so naturally fast, you don't need to worry about the speed as much as the damage. And you might notice how I keep saying Meowth and not Persian. It is actually vehemently crucial. You do not, I repeat, do not let your Payday Pickup Meowth evolve into a Persian. It's actually one of the most common mistakes and sort of growing pains that every PokeMMO player has to go through. I myself have evolved about 4 of these suckers at around level 90 or so on accident over my 13 years of playing PokeMMO. It's a pain in the butt every single time. You might be asking, why, Patrouski? Why should I not evolve it into a Pokemon with better stats? The reason being is that Persian loses the pickup ability. So you no longer get wild items, and that may not seem like a big deal, but when Payday Pickuping, 50% of your Pokeyen comes from the pure yen from the Payday, and 50% actually comes from the items, the wild items that you pick up. So you're losing half of your Pokeyen. You go from making 120k or so Pokeyen per hour to now 60,000 Pokeyen per hour. That's a big difference. It goes from Payday Pickup Meowth being like a low tier money making method, but like really solid, consistent, viable, and easy to do in the background while you do something else like watch a movie or play on their game, to all of a sudden 60,000 Pokeyen per hour. In my opinion, unviable. I wouldn't recommend that to other players. But that is our final Pokemon I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully you learned something. This list is kind of a old school, like it's not changed a whole lot. This is one of those lists, honestly, one of those few things in Pokemon that has not changed that much over the past 3 to 4 years or so of PokeMMO, but I wanted to consolidate it in a list specifically for players in the Kanto region, and then I plan to do one for all of the 5 future regions in the future. So I have a list right now. I plan to do one of these videos for Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, and Unova. So if you want to see more guides like this, make sure to like the video if it helped you today. Subscribe for daily PokeMMO videos. Follow me on Twitch for streams whenever I can throw those up, and my Discord's down below if you're interested in that. And if you really want to go above and beyond, if my PokeMMO guides have helped your journey enough, if you watch enough hours of my content and you can afford it, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal and Venmo donations do go an extremely long way. But most importantly, just thanks for watching and enjoy PokeMMO. Yo, what's up? Outro Patrouski here. I wanted to take this second to say thank you so much for watching the entire video. It is thanks to people like you I'm able to make the content that I do, as well as everybody whose name is listed here. That's it for me. Have a fantastic day.